This seems to be a very nostalgic meeting. First, this video, it was really nice, and Daniel's time machine, and I'm also going retrospective now. And I'll tell you a few words about how Marvin Life has become what it is today. And I'm not only talking about the evolution of the product's name. We started from Marvin Cast through a few different versions to what it is today, Marvin Life. But also how the idea was born. It will only take a few minutes, and then I will let Alex explain how they are using it now. So it was in 2014 when András Strác, the product owner of Marvin Life, and myself were walking to this event of ChemAxon in Farger Cafe. It was a party, and András looked at me and said, "Listen, I have a crazy idea." And when I heard that and I looked in his eyes and saw this mad scientist look on his face, I knew that something interesting is coming. And that was the year when Chromecast's first generation was released. And I didn't know what it was, but he did. So he explained to me that he wants to build a Marvin.js-based application that would allow people to cast this application to a bigger screen using Chromecast to facilitate the meetings. And I was like, okay, so you want to build a cheap smartboard, essentially. And he said, I'm very happy you say that, because that's exactly what I want to do. So we started to work on this project secretly. Even Chizzy didn't know about it. We did it mostly in our free time, so don't worry. And we started to mock up some figures, user interfaces, and functionalities, what we want to include in it. And that was also the time when we started to make interviews with people who we thought could evaluate the validity of this idea. And it turned out very, very soon that we have to get rid of Chromecast. That's not the right way to go down. And we also needed to move away from this very limited concept of local meetings of chemists. But we need to go global and facilitate meetings of chemists who are in different corners of the world. So we had to switch technologies, and we had to switch concept also a little bit. And actually, one of the first people that we talked to was Edith Scheringer from Boehringer Ingelheim. And it was quite obvious at that time that neither the idea nor the concept nor the technology was mature enough for them to even consider going down this path. But it was also clear that we have touched something really interesting here. So the first prototype was ready just a couple of months later in May. It was really difficult for me to find any screenshots from the old versions, but this is one of those. This is just the login page. And this is where we started to show this to people, actually. Even show this to people who have already invented into smartboards. What I have forgot to mention was that a Chromecast cost $35 that time. A smartboard cost $8,000 or something like that. And they all found it quite interesting. But the product never stopped evolving. You know, one crazy idea comes, it leads to another crazy idea, and then it's a chain reaction of crazy ideas. So we ended up with a pretty viable product already in a few months that we could really seriously show to people. And it became also quite obvious in a few months that we also need to change the focus of the application a little bit. And that's something that Ákos has already mentioned in the introductory talk, that from a product that supports meetings, we need to have something that is more like an idea management platform that still facilitates the creative chemical design, but that also ensures that good chemical ideas don't get lost, they get prioritized or triaged properly, and the success of their fate is also supported. So today, Marvin Life is something very, very mature. And I'm really proud to say that this originally seemingly crazy idea is now a key element of Boehringer Ingelheim's eDesign platform since last year. And that is what Alex Schmalz is going to tell you about in more detail in the next presentation. If you have any questions, I would suggest you to find me in the break. So let's just give Alex Schmalz the...
Iván, thanks a lot for this nice introduction. I will talk today about the implementation of Marvin Life in scope of our eDesign platform. And just one question, who is from the pharmaceutical industry here? So quite some people. And who is using Marvin Life in the meantime? Okay, good. Not that many. I was really surprised to see that because I thought there will be more people using that. Short introduction to myself. I'm working at Boehringer Ingelheim within the IT department, running an organization that is basically supporting medicinal chemistry with a certain focus on computation chemistry and compound management. And last year we ran a project called eDesign, and this will be the first part of my talk today. And the second part will be the implementation of Marvin Life, which was one work stream within this project. And here, Edith Scheringer, Iván mentioned her already, was the work stream lead. Unfortunately, she cannot join today, but greetings from her. A few words about Boehringer Ingelheim. We are a global pharmaceutical company focusing on human pharmaceuticals, animal health, and biopharmaceuticals, contract manufacturing. We do have 4 main R&D sites, and we are investing almost 20% of our net sales into R&D, which is, I think, pretty interesting. If I talk about the eDesign platform, and for those who are from the pharmaceutical industry, they know this process or the drug discovery process or something similar. This part of the drug discovery process is of relevance for this talk. And additionally, we are looking only at new chemical entities here. NBEs are out of scope completely. For those that are a little bit more familiar with the drug design cycle, know that this is pretty prominent, I guess. Our designers are researchers are looking at data, trying to analyze the data, design new molecules, generating ideas, send them to synthesis, test these molecules, generating additional data, do the analysis, and the iteration proceeds until we get the new great compound. And we also know that this part of the process is quite expensive. So because the molecules have to be synthesized, they have to be tested, and there are quite a lot of people involved and so on. So what do we want to do? We really want to reduce the number of compounds that are sent to synthesis, number one, but have a much higher quality of compounds that are sent to there. So, and how do we want to do this? So next slide, I will just showing the new way we approach this, and we wanted to introduce a hypothesis-based or a work package-based drug design or compound design. So all of the ideas that are and molecules that are generated throughout for a certain hypothesis, they are linked with this hypothesis. They are then sent to a kind of a prioritization, and based on specific data, this prioritization is taking place, and certain compounds are sent to synthesis. Where are the benefits here? So basically, if I group my compounds within a work package and hypothesis, and I create here 5 out of 10 molecules, and they devalidate my hypothesis, I can skip the other synthesis steps. So it reduces some the workload here, number one. And by doing the prioritizations also reduces the number of compounds that I'm sending to synthesis. But in order to do that, you really need data. You need data, contextual data during the design process, number one, but also during the prioritization process. And we all have, I think, a lot of data. We have the pharmaceutical industry has, I think, each company does have a central compound database with quite a lot of internal, quite a lot of samples. We do have like way more than 1 million samples and way more than 100 million results. So, and we need to make this data available somehow to the people at the right time. So what we were aiming is to guide design, compound design by this data. But in order to do that, you really need to understand first that this data is available, and make this data available also to people. It should be retrievable, and also you need to help people to interpret this data somehow. And this was the major goal of our eDesign project. So our vision was to establish an IT landscape for people in the medchem, and we call them designer. Yeah? That is state-of-the-art, some flexible, and with a seamless user experience. And we wanted to take a best-of-breed approach, so that we didn't want to have one big application. We know that there's a set of applications out there that do a good job here, and we wanted to focus on a seamless user experience. And one key deliverable here is really to provide and to invest in tools that provide this contextual data. So basically, out of our compound databases and other databases that we have, provide experimental but also computational data at the design time to our designers. And that had to be done last year. So May is not really correct. We started in July and we went live in November. Here's a very high-level schematic overview about the overall process. People are working with our front-end tools. We did have our ideation tools. It's a kind of a lab notebook in place already. So we've introduced Marvin Life as a main 2D live design tool. We do have a Maestro as a 3D design tool, and people who are designing molecules here are sending this molecule to a new database that we call eDesign database. And we are planning to have all virtual compounds registered there. We are not there yet, being registered there. And these compounds are then visualized and analyzed also later on and prioritized. And I think we are using D360 from Cetera here. I think they're also here. Good. So not yours. So we really, within this project, we really made it happen within like 5 or 6 months that we could introduce the whole landscape to the designers. They are still onboarding right now. But I think all of these applications are available, interfaces are in place, which was just good. And we really made it to provide these contextual data and also the predictions to the users at the right time. We focused on these 2D and 3D design tools, including the ideation and compound prioritization and registration tools. By the way, we have introduced our own compound registration database, something we also could have a look at in future. eDesign 1.0 is available now, as I said, and we are looking at eDesign 2.0, where we are currently in the scoping phase, maybe something to talk about next year. Good, Marvin Life. We did have some requirements for a 2D live design tool. And they were not clear from the beginning on, right? So this was also in the evolution of this. It was kind of an evolution of these requirements throughout the last year. But what we wanted to implement, and first of all, we wanted really to implement a 2D live design tool in web, and also make the calculations available and predictions available to the people at the point of time of the design. And really make this contextual information, we call them smart assistants. This is like basically the plugins in Marvin Life, available and make them flexible so we can add additional one when our computational chemistry guys are working on them heavily. So I think this is we need some flexibility here. We wanted to store our favorite ideas, our virtual compounds somewhere. We wanted to be able to compare them within the tool. The collaboration part is interesting because our initial thought was really that this might be key. The experience in the last 4 or 5 months showed that we don't use it that much, but at that point of time it was there and this would be possible. We wanted to submit, as I showed 2 slides ago, our favorite compounds into the eDesign database. And for sure, it had to be done in time, in budget, in scope, in quality, like the standard project madness. Iván showed already the Marvin Life as a Marvin Life screenshot before, but this is how it looks like on our end. So basically, we do have an adjustable web-based 2D editor in place with Marvin Life. We do have a list of snapshots that we can store. We do have, it is interesting, also fast access to compound libraries, which is perceived, it's such a small thing. It was such a key for acceptance for people. So basically, if you click on that, you enter your compound number and this structure is showing up here. And no matter whether this compound is coming from our central registration database or from a compound from a reagents database, wherever. So it is just showing up here and people love it. It's a minor thing, what I would say, but okay. And a key element, what are the plugins here. And here, all of the brains, I think also from ChemAxon, but also we do have some internal smart assistants that were developed by our people. They were key here, and they were included here, and people can pick those smart assistants that are relevant for them, and compare their ideas. If I look at for those that are not aware of this, there's a design mode and there's an overview mode of the within Marvin Life, and within the overview mode, you really can also additionally import existing data. You can filter data, and what we have introduced is by selecting certain compounds here, you can do the registration in our eDesign database. So, as a summary, everything was done here. So all of the user requirements were fulfilled. It was a pretty good, I think, work stream here. I think there are some colleagues who are more IT savvy here. So just as more a view on this perspective, Marvin Life, we've introduced this on just a standard Linux box. People are accessing this through web. And we do have an Active Directory authentication, it's clear, and we do have a connectivity to our ideation tool, and also to the JChem web services and our smart assistants. The registration into the eDesign database is key also. We do have currently 3 different environments. We are currently, at least is the status of last week, it might have changed already. Version 18.2.3, we do have almost 400 potential users and 15 concurrent as of today. And we do have, since November last year, 2 GB of data, and it's used mainly in R&D. Good. Before this talk, I asked some people who are more involved in this work stream to provide some feedback. And I have much more, but something I would like to emphasize. So the combination of a commercial out-of-the-shelf product and the agile development that we went through last year, I think that was perceived as pretty strong. So it was pretty useful for us, I think. in combination with this agile prototyping that was done also, I think Andras was heavily involved in that, and others from ChemAxon. I think it was I think very good and a key factor for the success of the project or for this workstream also. The communication part, I was very surprised hearing that, so but it's good to hear. So the usage of Jira with ChemAxon and even having very quick responses, and we deal with a lot of different vendors, so this is getting responses time within 15 minutes. This is really great. So please proceed doing that. There is there was an issue with importing of many structures. I think this is something we have addressed already, and I think ChemAxon is working on this already. Beyond that, we do have also some wishes for the evolution of Marvin Life. So first of all, in general, I think we would like to see interfaces built by the vendors, where, especially if you have partnerships with this special partnerships with these vendors. Like for instance, for us, an interface between Marvin Life and like a live interface. I'm not talking about copy and paste or Zen 2. I'm talking about instant interface between those two systems would be fantastic. I'm an IT guy, so I know the challenges, but this we will be talking about it next year, I guess, right? That it has been implemented. That would be fantastic. The second one is, imagine people would be able to draw molecules on a board as they do on a sheet of paper. So I know everything this is challenging, but this would be fantastic, right? So it would increase the acceptance of the product also tremendously. So we are using Surface Hubs, and right now you use the mouse to draw molecules. But what if you can take the pen and draw as you would do this with a standard pen? So it would be fantastic. Marvin.js Plus. I'm not sure whether this is even known here. What we would like to have is that you can not only include Marvin.js in other applications, like IDBS, Chembook as an example, just pick one. But also the plugins. So for us, Smart Assistants. So all of this contextual data would be also available in other applications. So that would be fantastic. And push notifications. This is a kind of a set of Smart Assistants or plugins that is running in the background, and in case of something, when I draw a molecule and it recognizes that it's, for instance, a controlled substance, this thing is notifying me and telling me, oh, okay, wait a minute, this is a controlled substance. And then I click on it, and then it shows me what it really is that I'm designing things that I'm not supposed to design. So I would like to, I was the IT project manager for this, and we had multiple work streams running, and in this scope here, I would really like to thank the overall BI project team, especially eDesign here, and also from ChemAxon. There were multiple people involved, but I think for us, Andras was the key point of contact. He did a great job here. I think he was very dedicated here and brought a lot of good ideas, and I think only this helped us to make this project a success. Thanks a lot, and I think I do have 5 minutes for questions.
Hello, we are also Marvin Live users, and while you were talking, I started thinking, you said that you're not using the communication part very much. We are using it as a communication between the medicinal chemists and the computational chemists. So the ideas are drawn by the medicinal chemists and then evaluated by the computational chemists. So I started to think about ideas for how to improve and internalize that communication results into Marvin Life. But my question is really, how are you doing that?
Do you use plugins?
Yeah, I'm thinking not about calculated values or a predictive model that delivers good, bad, ugly. I'm thinking about the more talkative evaluation.
Okay. I think these parts here are provided by computational chemistry. So basically, they are standardizing their services, the main questions that people have, within these plugins. So the interaction with computational chemistry for the standard things reduces already. There's not that much need for that anymore. But in our organization, the computational chemists are part of the project teams, of the MedChem project teams, and they're providing also their feedback. But for sure, there's like the live connection, also the day-by-day business. But I think the implementation of this one is key. And this is provided by computational chemistry. It's very much driven from these guys here. We will get a new version, I think, where we can do better statistics on the usage of Marvin Life in future. I think this is something that is already in place. And we will do also the statistics also about the usage of the communication part. It will be interesting. I can provide it maybe later on to you also. Whether this is really used I don't think it's used in our company at all. But not that much.
Is this system that you have worked on somehow linked into some task management?
We want to. Yeah, this is one of the discussion points that we will have for eDesign 2.0. As of today, it's not. Task management in research is a challenge itself.
So my question is about impact on the quality of your designs. So I understand that. I think you mentioned there are about 400 users, and you've only started using it maybe since November. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not enough time. But my question is, you mentioned you want to track at the end of your sort of things as how you are doing the idea. So can you comment on the objective measure that you're using to see if you're actually impacting on the design of the molecules you're making in projects?
This is a great question, and unfortunately, we don't have all of the statistics yet. But our vision, so this is exactly the point that we really want to also to show that this kind of hypothesis-based and also data-driven drug design will force us to decrease the effort to do drug design, number one, but also increase the quality of the molecules. And we don't have that much data yet in order to prove that. And it's difficult because some compounds would have been synthesized in the past that are not synthesized now because we do have the calculated but also the real data already in place, right? So people wouldn't even send them to the synthesis now. So, and they are not registered. They are not really measured. This is not captured. So I'm not sure whether we will be able to answer this 100%. But all of the compounds that have been registered and then have been sent to synthesis, this is something we can record and we can do some ratios here. But those that haven't been registered, we can't. We will try to analyze the compounds that are available just in Marvin Life, not in the registration database. But again, I think this is something that was a request we sent to ChemAxon just some time ago, and I think we've received a version now a couple of weeks ago.